We're not going to do the normal roll call that we do today, but if you could all write your name in your Zoom window with your class year, that would be great for us to be able to know who's here. Or if you can't do that, if you could just send us a chat that you're here on the call, that would be great. We have a new employee that we want to introduce you to. So I'm going to pass it over to Becky Bogle, who is our new Associate Director of the Annual Fund, and let her tell a little bit about herself.
Thanks, Lynn. Good afternoon, everyone. As Lynn said, I'm Becky Bogle, the new Associate Director of Annual Giving on the team. And I'm very excited to be here. I started just before the holidays. So at this point, I'm about a month in, still feeling very new, but learning a lot. I came from over 20 years in the nonprofit fundraising world. I was with United Way in this community here in Southeastern Connecticut, and then I was with United Way worldwide as well. So a lot of experience in fundraising, but not in this academic setting. I will be working with classes 81 as well as 84 through 93. So excited about working on reunions for the 35th this year and the 30th. And I'll also be working on 1911 Society. So looking forward to getting to know all of you and hopefully working with you in the future.
Thank you, Becky. Today we're going to have an overview of where we are with the CC Fund, and then we're going to talk a little bit about expanding our volunteer program. So I will pass it over to Michael to talk about where we are with the CC Fund.
Thank you, Lynn, and thanks to everyone for being here, and thanks to all of our CGOs and alumni volunteers who have been working all fall semester, but who can't be here. I'm glad this is being recorded, and there's other opportunities to see what we're talking about. So I'm going to go on into a Connecticut College Fund update. We finished the calendar year at 3.8 million for the Connecticut College Fund. In comparison, we were at approximately 4.2 million at the end of the calendar year last year. We've been able to identify where that gap is. It is among about maybe 10 to 20 individual donors, and we're personally following up with those folks. In some cases, these are individuals who were on multi-year annual fund commitments where those expired, and we're looking to basically re-up those commitments. Our goal for the year, as everyone here knows, is $7 million. For context, last year we raised 6.86 million, which was a CC Fund record. The previous year, 6.45 million, which was a CC Fund record. So an ambitious goal of $7 million. And I think that we are in a good place to be able to reach that goal. Importantly, alumni participation, and we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into this over the course of our call. But we finished the calendar year at 2,343 alumni donors. In comparison, we were at 2,472 at the end of the calendar year last year. So again, about 140 alumni behind, and how that kind of translates, we have about 25,000 alumni in our solicitable base. So about 250 for 1 percentage point. So we're kind of slightly over half a percentage point behind in alumni participation. Our goal is 5,500, and we are at 43% of our goal. And last year we reached about 5,200 alumni donors. The campaign for Connecticut College, we're currently at $247 million. That's 82% of goal. And again, we are at approximately 17 and a half months until we anticipate successfully concluding the campaign. So as everybody knows, there's been a lot of focus on campaign progress. We've had some really fantastic campaign events over the fall semester, and we have some more coming on up in spring. I want to show a little bit about what the Connecticut College Fund team is looking at on an ongoing basis. So there's a lot of information here, but what you're really looking at here is from fiscal year 2012 through our current point in time, where we've been in annual fund dollars on a month-by-month basis, and where we should be based on past trends in order to hit our goal of $7 million. So this kind of blue line that is going to be dotted, that's our forecast line for fiscal year 23, where based on past performance, where we would ideally be on a month-by-month in order to achieve $7 million. And then this solid blue line is where we are in actuality. So a couple things to note that we've been looking at internally is that we did not do a lot of essentially fundraising focused activity until October, when we started kind of kicking off with the fall appeal, following up with the CGO class letters, a lot of our gift anniversary mailings. And then in November, we started moving forward on our 1911 Society solicitations. And then between November and the end of the calendar year, you can see a pretty sharp spike. And that is heartening to see, because it certainly closed that gap between where we would like to be and where we are. And we've got a pretty good sense of what activities are going to happen in spring in order to, again, help us close that gap for annual fund dollars and successfully reach $7 million. Something important to share is that parents and families are always a significant component of the Connecticut College Fund, and in recent years have become more and more of a significant component. We are down about $200,000 in our parents and families component of the Connecticut College Fund, and that really comes down to 3 to 4 key donors who we know and we're following on up with. So again, we do have plans in place, but you can see that we've got some work to do, but relatively speaking, we're doing pretty well on total annual fund dollars raised. It is a similar slide, but here is alumni donors. I apologize for the kind of slide title, annual fund donors. It's actually alumni donors to Connecticut College. And you can see a very similar story, that this thick blue line, it was relatively flat through October, and we've seen a healthy spike through the end of the calendar year. And we'll kind of share what some of the kind of most significant drivers of that spike have been, and then how we hope to really lean into it in the spring in order to close the gap between, again, where we should be, which is that dotted light blue line, and where we are, which is the solid dark blue line. Of course, we know that about 2/3 of our alumni donors come in the spring semester. And from our spring Camels Count campaigns to Founders Day challenges, we've habituated many alumni to give during the spring. So we know that, and we know that we can turn alumni participation on in a relatively quick period of time. And of course, our partnership with all alumni volunteers, especially CGOs, is important to be able to do that. Probably the most important indicator of alumni participation is our ability to retain alumni who gave last year but have not yet made a gift this year. So we have a very ambitious goal of 80% LIBON retention over the course of the year. For context, last year we achieved 73% LIBON retention. So what you can see here is a breakdown by class decade, the decade of the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s, which we have 2 classes in. And the blue line is overall LIBON retention. So for example, for the 1960s, we've retained a total of 35% of alumni from the 60s who gave last year. But the peach line shows fall to fall LIBON retention. So in the 1960s, of the LIBONs who gave in the fall semester, we've retained 76% of them. So what we see here is between the 1950s and 1990s, we're seeing on average 70% or more LIBON retention fall semester over fall semester, which is a good indicator because again, we anticipate bringing many more of those LIBONs in over the course of the spring semester. And then for our alumni from the 2000s, 2010s, and our 2 classes from the 2020s, that decreases acutely, down to 58% for the 2000s, 40% for the 2010s, and 33% for the 2020s. So I think everybody here has heard the Connecticut College Fund team share the information that approximately 40% of our entire alumni base has graduated since the year 2000. So again, these 2 decades essentially of alumni out of 8 living decades of alumni constitute about 40% of our entire alumni base. So we really need to focus in on key ways to be able to retain young alumni LIBONs. And young alumni LIBONs may have only given for 1 year, whereas an alum from the 1970s may have contributed for 5 years in a row or 10 years in a row. So again, we're thinking about it, and we're also taking a look at the strongest channels by which we're able to retain LIBONs and think about how that can be applied for our younger alumni. Certainly, CGOs are key. You'll hear about this more from Ellen a little bit later on, but we've done analysis from CGOs for each of our classes among all of the decades, and on average, each class that has a CGO, that CGO retains on average 9 alumni LIBONs. So one way to be able to increase the number of Leibunds we're retaining, and certainly encourage lapsed alumni donors and new alumni donors to make a gift of any amount to Connecticut College, is increasing our number of CGOs by class and increasing the types of activities that our CGOs and other alumni fundraising volunteers can be active in over the course of the year. So the other two things that I wanted to share are that our other two key channels, in addition to CGO outreach, which was responsible for over 400 alumni contributions in the fall semester, are our gift anniversary mailings, which Lynn has been spearheading. And essentially, if an alum has made a gift in October of 2021, that alum will get a communication, a printed card in October of 2022 saying, thank you so much for your gift at this time last year. Here's how much you gave, here's where you gave it to. Please take this opportunity to renew your gift. On average, we've seen a 55% response rate from those gift anniversary mailings. So those have been a key way that we've been able to retain Leibunds. And then also our student advancement officer, SAO outreach, which Cody oversees, has been a key factor in retaining Leibunds as well. And we have about 15 SAOs who are active and who were active over the fall semester, 6 days a week in the afternoon on Saturdays and Sundays, and the evening during weekdays. Our SAOs are outreaching to alumni through phone, through text, through email. They're writing handwritten notes, and more than 90% of the gifts that have been made in response to SAO outreach have come from alumni Leibunds. So these are kind of the three big channels that we've seen a lot of success in terms of retaining Leibunds, which is the key kind of indicator for alumni participation, and that is CGO outreach, our gift anniversary mailings, and our student advancement officer outreach. So before I turn it on over to go a little bit more into CGOs, are there any kind of questions or observations or comments from some of what we've seen as that's come on out of our kind of fall semester efforts? Yes, thanks, Chip.
I'm assuming that within the fall numbers is the athletic challenge.
Correct. So I can sum that up for you as quickly as possible. So for everybody here, we had an athletic micro campaign over the fall semester that we basically themed Shatter Expectations. And we had 3 sprints basically beginning in November through the end of the calendar year for Shatter Expectations. The purpose, the overarching purpose of this was dollars rather than donors. Our goal for the Camel Athletic Fund is to raise $750,000. We were not meeting that goal in previous years. Last year was our most successful, and we raised about $635,000. So because we know that we see more dollars come on in the fall semester, and more alumni donors come in the spring semester, we really geared Shatter Expectations to raise as much money as possible through kind of matching and challenge gifts. And in fact, our third and final sprint, which helped us conclude the calendar year, only matched contributions from 1911 society level gifts. So we are currently at $485,000 for the Camel Athletics Fund. And at this time last year, we were at 300,000. So I think that these results are inclusive of that effort, and B, we are in a strong position for the first time to successfully achieve our goal of 750,000 for the Camel Athletics Fund. Yes, Noel.
Will there be more athletic challenges in the spring semester?
It's a good question. We're certainly going to have an athletic segment to a spring giving day. When we're looking at, I won't say no, but when we're looking at our ability to raise 750,000, we are kind of looking at a pyramid with individual names of alumni, parents, and families who we really need to have individual conversations with. So that's going to be our goal, or rather that's going to be how we're going to achieve 750,000. We do know that that alumni who participated really in varsity athletics when they were students, they give more often when asked to support their specific team, or they give in response to hearing from their coach or a teammate. So I know that we're going to be using those approaches over the course of the spring semester, but they may very well be embedded into a larger push rather than kind of additional exclusive campaigns for athletics. First of all, let's hear from Ben, please.
Michael, to what extent does your office do wealth scans? In other words, do research on parents of incoming students or alumni to see whether somebody's capable of a big gift? And a lot of that, of course, is public information. Does your office do a lot of that research?
So in advancement, we do have a research and prospect management team that does these on a regular basis, certainly for incoming parents, before those students set foot on campus is the goal. And then alumni is on more of a sporadic basis, depending on updates that we either hear through the news media or we may hear through CGO outreach. And when we hear that somebody has started a new job or has sold a company, that prompts additional research. But certainly parents and families is kind of at the tail end of summer. As soon as we find out that their students are coming to con.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then I'm sorry, I also saw a hand from Jen.
Hi, everybody. Michael, just a quick question. In terms of the spring, what do you foresee being the ask of CGOs in those non-reunion classes related to Noel's question specifically?
Yeah, so that's going to be a good segue for what comes next, but I will preview that we are anticipating a few pushes, and we're going to be asking CGOs to really help us specifically with those. We want to be more intentional about kind of not only here is a list of your classmates for outreach, but can we kind of identify your classmates who are most likely to give, and can we prioritize those classmates in terms of personal outreach? I want to give big kudos to Shelby, who has spent the holidays and the beginning of the new year finalizing our segmentation framework which we had hoped to have in fall, but we did not have. But that's going to help us be a lot more intentional and really kind of sophisticated in terms of identifying who those alumni are who should give. So we'll be able to go and prompt those. And then I think that something that I've heard and that we want to be able to do is CGOs and classes that are performing very strong. It would be great to kind of partner or find a time and space to be able to share with other CGOs, other classes, maybe some of our younger CGOs and younger classes. Here's what I do as a CGO. Here's what my fellow class CGOs do. And here's a model that has proven effective. Kind of that sharing of information in applicable ways, because again, 1989 is a powerhouse and they have a framework and a model in place that works. And can we go and kind of teach that forward so that others can hear how to do that? So I think that those are three ways that we are looking for CGOs to be involved in the spring semester. There's going to be more information. Ellen's going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into that as well. And in the interest of time, how about if we move on to that, Ellen?
Okay, sure.
And before that, I just I'm actually out of state at a conference where I've got an upcoming presentation. So I'm going to sign off. But thank you all so much for your support, for your ongoing leadership. It's making a very positive impact in Con and certainly advancement and the Connecticut College Fund team. Thank you.
Yeah, so just to add to what you were asking, Jen, we will be providing another toolkit with scripts, emails, and text examples, as well as social media graphics to share. So that will be a part of the spring outreach. Our next CGO call is in March, and part of our focus of that call will be to prep everybody for the spring giving challenges, and we'll definitely have more info on the criteria of the challenge then. So I hope that answers your question. All right. So what I'm going to talk about today is volunteer recruitment. We are planning to focus a lot of our efforts in February on recruiting more volunteers. And we have a number of volunteer opportunities available, but our main focus will be recruiting class gift officers. And we're going to be taking a multi-channel approach to recruitment, and this includes social media, email, and texting. Texting is not something we've used before to recruit volunteers, so we're happy there will be a positive outcome with that. And to help us, we were hoping that you could provide us with recommendations of potential volunteers. And currently we have a couple classes that do not have volunteers for, and that's 92, 2001, 2004, 2011, 21, 2021, and 22. So if you know any folks in these classes that you think would make a good volunteer, please let us know. We also have a number of classes that just have one CGO. So we're always trying to build as many volunteers as we have. So again, any recommendations that you have for volunteers, please let us know. Again, we want to have as many, we want to have as the most robust committees as possible. And as Michael mentioned, 1989 has a really robust committee, and you can see the results of their outreach by their participation. In addition, I'm not going to forget you, Chip, because I can't. 1979, it has Chip and Ben, but they also have a slew of other volunteers that help them on the side. And then again, that translates into participation. So, so let me go on. Another thing that we're doing as a part of our multi-channel approach to recruit volunteers is we want to collect responses from you about volunteering for Con. And Shelby, if you could pull up the form, that would be great. So in our recap, we're going to include a CGO volunteer questionnaire, and this is to help you guide your responses. The purpose of this is to collect information from you, but we're also going to, there may be a chance that we'll use it on social media posts and emails and texts. So to help you with this, we have a couple guided questions. On this form, you do not have to answer all of them, but we'd appreciate if you would answer at least 2 of them. And the questions are pretty basic, like what do you love most about Con? Why do you volunteer for Con? Why do you give back, both in terms of your time and your philanthropic support? And what advice would you give an alum looking to get re-engaged with Con? And then there's, can you scroll a bit? Thank you, Shelby. And if you know anyone that would make a good CGO, please add their name here and their class years. And then if you have any additional comments. Again, you don't have to answer all these questions, but if you could answer a few, it'd be very helpful. And the shorter, the better, because there's a good chance that we'll be taking your blurbs and using it to make a social media post. So that would be helpful. Okay, Shelby, you can take this off. Thank you. Another thing that we'll be doing is we're going to be providing you with the resources that you need to help us with your outreach. So we're going to be providing you with text, email, scripts, and social media posts, so you can help spread the word on your own. But also it'd be helpful if you could like reshare our posts and spread the word to your classmates in social media if you are on it. So that is our plan. And when we share out the recap, I will be sharing out the dates that we are going to be using in the resources, that the dates that we're going to be sharing out on social media, so you can keep an eye to like, share, and repost. But that is it for that part. Is there any questions? Wait, I'm just looking at your chat, Jen. Right. So that brings up a good point. So what we are planning to do is we focus mainly on Facebook and Instagram, and we use the Call alumni social media account. And we are going to do a mix of posts and stories. And so the stories are just going to basically repeat what we have on the posts. We do find like the stories do get a lot of traction. So we like to kind of use both, but you will have the posts so you can reshare them. All right. Is there any other questions? Yeah, so I am in converse. Harris had a question about using the college's main Instagram account and not just the alum one. And so I am I'm in conversations with the social media manager who runs the main account to share our posts. It's a little bit tricky to kind of get them in there, but hopefully we'll have at least 2 posts out through the main page. And then Chip said Spotify ? I have not used Spotify, but if you want to elaborate on that, that would be great. I use Spotify to listen to music, but
I'm sorry, that's not what I mean. I don't mean Spotify.
oh,
I
okay.
mean, what's the other one?
Twitter. TikTok.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Oh, so the college does have there is a main college TikTok account. And I will ask our social media manager if we can post something on that. That would be fun. So I personally feel like I'm too old to use TikTok. So I watch TikTok on Instagram like everybody else my age does. But
Yeah, I just mentioned it because I'm way too old, but Chip is young, certainly young enough, Chip, to get right on there.
so
I'm raising TikTok because if we're focusing on the first 20 classes, most recent 20 classes, TikTok is much bigger there than Instagram.
Yeah.
That is true. And I don't know if our alumni, maybe you could put this like shoot an email to alumni, Chip, because you have a bit more pull, but suggest they add a TikTok page to their portfolio of social media accounts.
Ellen, I know that all of our young alumni class gift officers are meeting this evening, so maybe that can be a discussion on the agenda for them to have a conversation about.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. But let's, for the record, some of that young alumni are in my age groups, and we're not that young and not on TikTok. But so yeah, that's the overview. And unless there's any more questions, I'm gonna pass it on to Shelby to give you an event update.
Woohoo! Hey everyone. I just wanted to do a quick recap of the past events we've had recently and then some upcoming ones. I know I saw a few faces at some of these parties and in the pictures. December, we had all of our holiday parties. The CCAC holiday party was virtual, but we were able to pull together some alumni in that space. And had a really great time. I was at the New York holiday party myself, and it was lots of fun. There were so many people there. It was great to be in that space with so many people. Coming up, there's a few more in February. There is a Defy Boundaries event happening in Palm Beach, Florida, for some special group of alumni. There's going to be a Black History Month celebration on February 10th. And our annual admission 101 will be the 19th and 20th of February. And then in March, there's a few basketball games that will be happening, one in New York with the Brooklyn Nets, and then one in Portland, Oregon, where they're playing the Boston Celtics. And last but not least is our next CGO call. That's going to be March 21st at 7 p.m. We also have, as Harris just briefly mentioned, tonight we're doing a separate call for our 2000s to 2022, those CGOs. So if there's anyone here that is in those classes that couldn't make it, feel free to invite them to that. They should have gotten an email from Ellen a couple times this week to let them know what was happening. Anyone in those classes on this call, if you'd like to come, you can, not required. We're going to be covering some of the same information, and we'll be sharing that recording with those classes too, so you can catch up if you can't make it. Yes, Heather, thank you. There is a Defy Boundaries event happening in San Francisco in March, and they had just decided on the date, so I couldn't find it and left it out, but thank you for reminding me. That one will be in March. So that's what we've got so far. Yes, Harris.
Just to add on to the list, just so everyone is aware, the Alumni Board's Engagement Committee is quite busy right now planning a bunch of other events that you'll be getting more information on, all within the month of March, or I guess starting at the end of February. But we will be doing a virtual 2-day alumni event, so anyone would be able to participate. It's with Chris O'Hara. He is class of 1990s. It's actually building off of an article you may have seen back in the summer of the 2021 CC magazine called Cookies and Monsters. He specializes in all of the data privacy that companies are tracking you as you use your different devices, and how much of your data truly is out there in a scary manner, how much companies are following you, using you, listening to you, so forth, so on, from big tech down to your everyday, Alexa and Amazons of the world. So we're going to be doing a kind of lunchtime presentation, which would be more educational on the topic. And then a different day, it'll be more of a moderated panel discussion on a similar but different topic. So it gives people an opportunity, if they can't attend one, to do another. And then in the middle of March, dates to be determined, in addition to the other events listed here, we're going to be doing another slew of Camels Connect events across the country, likely Atlanta, Boston, San Francisco, and maybe 3+ other cities that are in the works. So look out for that as well. It's great talking points as you're speaking with classmates to share opportunities for them to engage across the country.
Woohoo! Yay, events. All right. I think I'm gonna hand it back to Ellen if there's anything else to wrap up our call.
Yeah, I believe we're done. Again, unless there's any other questions, and we'll go ahead and we'll share the recap with you. And within that, we'll include the form to collect your feedback so we could use it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your class manager or to me. We're always happy to help you. And then we'll also be sharing out some of the information that Harris just shared with us about events and events coming up. Thank you, everyone. All right.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye, everyone.